Well, let's get started. Welcome everybody to our data product thinking meetup here in Düsseldorf. It's our second meetup in Germany. Our first meetup was in Berlin in October. So we are a Belgium-based company and trying out new markets, new experiments of meetups, new topics, interesting topics. And yeah, what can we expect from tonight? This is our agenda. We already finished part one, yes. And we follow up now. We give you a short introduction. Okay, who's Dataminded? Who's Dataminded Germany? What are we doing? Then we continue with the talk from Carolina of data governance pitfalls, and have a short break of 15 minutes. And we are talking about the productivity paradoxon in data product thinking. And so the evening is all about data products and data product thinking, and what do we have to do in terms of to get to data products in advance. And in the end, we can have some snacks. I have some chips and nuts and also drinks. And this is Dataminded here today. This is our colleague Thorsten in the end, our senior data engineer. He's living here in Düsseldorf. Then we have Sophia in the end. She's recording the session, linking to the camp. And Chris, our CEO, you already met here. And it's me. So, who is Dataminded? As I said, Dataminded is a Belgian-based company founded 10 years ago in Leuven, 20 kilometers east of Brussels. Maybe you know the KU Leuven, a very high reputed university. And yeah, last year or this year, the founders decided, hey, we have to extend our business onto the German market. We are so successful in Belgium, but Belgium is somehow on the borders, and from this is also limited. Yeah? So we're trying out to get a feet into the market. Here, maybe. Chris,
I'll give a few words as well. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah. So thanks all for being here. Also from my side, I'm Chris. I'm indeed the founder and CEO of Dataminded. I'm happy indeed to see if we can replicate what we're doing in Belgium in other countries. And Germany is our big neighbor, so it's like, why not? A few words about us. What is our mission? What do we try to achieve? As it says on the website, we want to elevate organizations to the next level of data maturity. How do we want to do that? There's three things that we typically do with our clients. We industrialize their data products, we modernize a technical data landscape, and also we improve the operating model and skills. If this is a bit abstract, I'll give you an example of an energy company that we work with in Belgium. It's a public use case. It's Luminous. They came to us a couple of years ago around demand forecasting. They built a model to predict how much energy their windmills and the solar farms would produce, and they are the experts. It's not us, but have a laptop and their algorithm is running on the laptop. So what we did was making sure that that algorithm was integrated with their data. It's also integrated with the trading systems, and so it was every day they could actually do the trading based on their algorithms, right? And that was use case one. By now they have at least 10 teams working in data and AI based on a common data platform on modern infrastructure in the cloud, using technologies like AWS and Snowflake. They're embracing AI to the fullest. They now have a dedicated Gen AI team as well. And we're supporting them on that journey. Through consultancy, we also have a product in the market, a SaaS product to accelerate data engineering. And also we spend a lot of time training their engineers, because we believe consultants are great, they can accelerate you, but you should not depend for the rest of your life on consultants. So you need to, in the end, build up the in-house capabilities so your team can take over. Like, you cannot have Dataminded build every use case for you. Right? We're there to support and enable you, but we like it even better if they join our academy and they can build the next use cases themselves. So what do we believe in? We transform highly ambitious organizations into modern data-centric organizations. So there's a few important words there. The companies we work with have to be ambitious. If you just want to keep the lights on data, if you just want to have your annual report, that's not very interesting for us. But if you're really ambitious and you want to be data-centric, you believe data will really be at the core of your the company in the future, then you're an interesting company for us to talk to. And maybe a bit similar to what I just said, but we believe in data products that actually yield business value, not just are fun to do, like we tried the new LLM and it was really fun. What is the business value behind it? We believe that a platform should enable and accelerate organizations. So I don't know if you've been in this space for a long time, but we often see these data platforms being built in isolation, and it's like a very geeky exercise. And there's only like 5 people in the whole organization that dare to touch the data platform because it's so complex. We believe in self-service data platforms that can actually enable you and accelerate you to do your job, right? And they're there for that purpose, not to geek out on all the technologies. And finally, it's also important that you come up with an operating model where you can actually be successful. So you have all the tools and technologies in place. If you don't bring this to very close to business, for instance, I really believe that the business unit should be building the use cases, not IT, not a central data unit. But that means you need to have a good way of working with business. And where do you draw the line? Where's their ownership? Where do you take ownership? How do you follow up on that? That operating model is super important to be successful. That's what we believe in. It works, at least in Belgium. For the last 10 years, we've been growing. We're now a bit more than 50 people. I strongly believe that success should be able to be replicated in other countries. Here in Germany, we already have a few big clients. And although there are cultural differences, I have to be honest, some cliches are true, like Germans are much more structured than we are. And we sometimes get that feedback. But I do think there is also many similarities, right? I do think you're all going through the same journeys as we are in Belgium. So it's exciting for me to get this opportunity. Here's the bragging slide. It's like a list of all most of the companies that we worked with. There's a whole bunch of companies, like private companies. Here's Luminous here in Germany, for instance. We already work with BioNTech, but also some more government companies. Like here in Germany, you have UMETSAT is a satellite space company. That we're also working with for a while. It's really fun. And then finally, also some startups. Probably those names don't ring a bell, or most of them. So we have a mix of companies we work with. We have trained quite a lot of people by now. We've built quite a lot of data products and data platforms. And we're looking to do a lot more in the coming years, right? So if you're excited about this, then come and talk to me after the session over beers, and I'm happy to give you some more information about what it is that we do. For tonight, we're here, of course, to listen to the 2 main speakers. But before that, I think, Thomas, you also want to talk a little bit about Dataminded Germany.
Yeah, not much, but some more details because, as I mentioned, Dataminded Germany, we are now more or less officially based in Berlin. We have a small desk in wine space and a co-working space. But we have already some engineers here. Thorsten you already know, but one guy is living here in Leipzig, and the other guy is standing between Valencia and Berlin. So, but we are growing. We are starting this summer, and we are growing and hiring for the future. And that are the guys, our 3 main engineers and our lead data engineer. And we are already looking for our next one on senior level. If we reach a certain point in the time where we have enough engineers, maybe then we also hire media or junior engineers, but for the beginning, we are looking for senior ones. So our backbone is data engineering at Dataminded, but we also sometimes call it full stack data scientists. Yeah, you have some very strong knowledge in the middle end, but also in the back end. Yeah? And that's why this term full stack. They should be highly motivated to make a difference and a huge impact on the market. And they are like all data scientists here in the room, really share passion with data. This is no chance without having it. And it would be also good to know some German language. It's like very typical for the German markets. If you speak with traditional customer or clients, sometimes they just want to speak in German, depending on the department, on the age, and so on. Getting data done is what we live and what we do in our daily work. Yeah, that is, we're preparing the data in that kind of quality that is useful for AI and data application. Yeah, that is what we ensure for data platforms and for these 3 foundations. Yeah, Chris already mentioned it. We have first top our data products that is Meetup about here. We have underlying and connected within the data platform based on a huge IT infrastructure, which has to be developed by data engineering with quite a lot of software engineering skills, and it's interconnected also with operating model and data science, which on the other side, all paying into the business cases and the domains. And that is our foundations of Dataminded. And yeah, we will hear later from our speakers something more about data products. That is a typical view of our data portal, the data product portal. You see we have different data products from different data sources running there. You can navigate through the portal. It's just like a user-friendly user interface. Yeah? That is making it very easy for stakeholders or decision makers to get insights in the data products. And it's open source based. You can connect it with hyperscaler and so on. It's very flexible. Yeah, we have a tech client, Chris mentioned, that we started in 2021, where we faced some challenges to solve, and those were the three main challenges we wanted to solve. The first, the data integration and scalability issues, getting data from different sources and running them smoothly and so on. Extensibility for data governance, a big thing. I don't know if you can read this, but this is typical German saying here. Alle Kinder schauen auf das brennende Haus, außer Klaus, der guckt raus. This is a typical case for data governance. Some, let's say, data stewards or data owner doing this and other doing different things, and they're not really communicating, and everything is going wild. So that was a challenge. Another challenge was the maintainability of technology and code. Technology is evolving very fast. We have new softwares, new updates, new kind of approaches, frameworks we can implement almost every year. And also the maintainability of code. If you want to check all the documentations, you want to continue maybe with another team on the work, or you want to merge teams together on projects, then it's really important to have some code maintainability. Yeah, what were our results? First, we improved the lifecycle, the all-over lifecycle transparency, to make clear inside of the product and platform lifecycles for key stakeholders to gain access and insights what's actually happening there. Yeah? So transparency is a big thing. Then early issue detection, even before they arise. Enhanced decision making. Yeah, that is what we always want to achieve in data analytics and data science in the end. And improved efficiency in terms of streamlined processes and better governance again. The impact we created, three main impacts here: strategic decision making. So we provided real insights into performance and products. 30% faster issue identification and 20% reduction in decision time. So, it seems not that much if you see that number, but if you add it up, like you have many decisions to make, different data products or different challenges to solve, then adding up the 30 or 20% by, or multiplying by some time, it's huge. And you have like savings in two figures millions. And we have a scalable platform that is maintained, like I said before. So the last slide before we come to our speakers. This is what we live in, or what we want to bring to our clients. What we really believe is like, we want to increase business value by reducing the amount of work. Starting from a data platform, the amount of work is huge. It's really huge. You need a lot of technical IT knowledge and skills and a lot of work, but that's a business value, the outcome is small. What we see, you can see it also like an iceberg here, is this here, the top, the data inside. That's what we see in the end. But all the other parts down are really hard work. And the more you automate things, the more value you create, and the more amount of work you save in the end. Yeah? So, and I think this is a smooth transition now to the next topic, so data products, so Carolina. Yeah? And Carolina is actually come from Colombia. She worked as policy advisor in defense and also for data, and studied at Harvard School in Berlin, and is now global expert manager for BASF in Berlin. Yeah? And yeah, happy welcome.
Okay. So, thank you all for coming to start on this discussion on different data products. I am actually talking of a topic that is not that technical from the perspective of most of people interested in data, which is data governance. Most of people, as Thomas clearly put it, is like, oh, the building is on fire and everybody's shouting and nothing happens. so a little bit, how can we go from there? What can we do? And let's say it's a full-on also recognition that data governance, if it's applied like too intensely, it can create a lot of issues. So a little bit the focus that I aimed for this particular discussion today is to talk of multiple pitfalls that can affect the development of different data products and a data environment because something on data governance. So that's a little bit the focus I want to talk today. Hopefully to give you also a practical approach so that if your organization is taking these type of steps, you are also able to talk plainly to the governance team and hopefully accelerate some topics. Okay, so in general terms, I will just divide the discussion today in three main areas, which mainly I will be in the first one most, which are all the challenges that data governance is creating when we are building data products, then a little bit on the strategies to approach multiple steering strategies, because organizationally wise, even beyond what a product team has, usually there is some struggles on how to steer the organization, and that affects the organization strategy, then the data strategy, and then how whatever it is that we are doing, right? And at last, I put it plainly, just practical tips to go forward. Okay, so I would divide the first part in just these 5 topics, which are buy-in, concepts, ownership, standards, and role, which I'm sure if you have spoken with anyone about governance, most of those terms have already shown up. And the very first one is buy-in. And I would say, are you sure you want data products? And data products is what your company needs. That's the very first step. Because usually you need to know how difficult it is to find data in your organization. The smaller an organization is, the most likely you are not actually needing data products to do your process. Data perhaps is already organized, it may already be done by a operational team, and you can understand that there perhaps are not that many issues. But then, as such, typical questions you can make: do you know the systems involved in having data? Is everything organized by acronyms? For whatever reason, companies love them. Right? Are there language barriers? And how does the system to store data work? Is there a platform? Is there not? How do you look like? So we have a lot of organizational complexity in this very lovely word. So you need to understand your data landscape, right? The more complex it is, the most likely you will be having added value of having that product. So you will need to understand what is the benefit that you're taking out of them, and that is the type of question that you need to answer. So it depends also on that complexity and a little bit on how are you actually going to set up your data. Is it going to be centralized? Is it going to be federated? And that has a lot of impact across the board. at last, what you want to do is just to be able to do things that I are doing. It doesn't matter if you have a data product or not. But if you are able to have a business idea, implement it, and put it in practice, you're done. But usually, if for whatever reason your organization is too complex, to do this becomes very difficult because you don't know who owns it, you don't know what it means, you don't know the details of it. And let's say this is actually a very cute picture that we like, which is okay that the products are better framed, organized, they have clearer labels, clearer scanners, clearer setups. So it's like kind of already made mean, if you want to put it in that way. And in here you have all the raw materials, which for sure, for some people that's enough. But for some others, you need to picture what is actually that you need. If you are able to go there and make your meal just with raw data, do you really need data products? That's, I would say, the very first part where you want to go. And also to know which data products you want to produce. Because you will have both. And raw data is there and it's also very useful, but data products themselves need to be answering the buy-in. Why do you need them? And usually people struggle a lot with that particular question. So that very first pitfall usually lands on the developers because they are telling you, oh, why do we do all these efforts? So please have it in mind, if you're not able to share that across site at that level, you're likely to not be able to go forward. In terms of concepts, are we even talking about the same thing? Usually in organizations, we don't know. You can talk about net sales, and net sales in Germany may be different, but net sales in Japan, because taxes. Or, right? It can be like that with everything. And we have a pitfall where data governance will push very hard on having the same business terms, on having the same data objects. But there's a pitfall there. And is one of the most effective ways of blocking anything is just to get into a semantic argument. Please avoid them. They are not useful. You can make perhaps a glossary behind when you are trying to define the term, but if you're joining in time, in meeting with the people that can create the product, that are the providers, that are doing the development, it starts to get into the semantics. No, that's too much value on the discussion of a term. So the recommendation here is have it written and put it in the background in terms of it can be discussed in email, like always in written form because then you have it. But your meeting times, the times when you are working together, try to avoid semantic discussions. They are not helpful. And they burn time in incredible ways. I have seen them not only in corporate, but the way that if you want to not develop a public policy in a country, talk about that. Like, oh, I am talking about cooptation, not introduction. Or it's terrible, and it happens at every level. So please be very clear. Know what are the concepts that you want to have behind, have them written, and avoid those discussions. So yes, please have them there, but try to avoid losing time on discussing concepts. And as a data governance person, I will tell you, we need clear concepts, and we need clear business terms, but please don't make them the focus of your discussions. Now, this is what I would say is my main pain point today in my current role. It's not necessarily the same for everybody, it depends on the organization. But usually, ownership is also somewhere where data governance fails. And it fails because from the business side, they don't see the need of owning the data itself. They already own whatever they are doing from the business level. So they own their task, they own their business process, they know what they are doing, but to do all the proper maintenance of data and doing the behind the lines that data actually works, usually they are not interested in that. And then they say, no, that is not my responsibility. But they are the only ones who can be responsible for that particular data. So there's always a struggle with business area on having to own the data they produce. Current setup that we are having on BASF is a little bit going back into what ownership means, so that they are fully aware that whatever they are doing from the business side has implications on ownership. And is to own something is to have the knowledge, so you understand it, but also the power, meaning that you can make decisions over it, and that you are responsible for whatever you are doing. But lastly, and this is also something for data, you have an inner motivation to improve it. You're not just happy with the results. You want to make them. And that's a little bit what we want from owners. Like, a data product owner is an amazing data product owner if they set the standards and improve them just because they want their product to be better. So this particular part of inner motivation is hard to get, and is where we are struggling with ownership, because usually that comes from business side. And if they don't, let's say, vibrate or are identified with this, it wouldn't go forward. So with governance, we cannot go forward if we don't have ownership. And you, of course, in the data areas, most technical people would just tell you, oh, if I do the coding, I will get the outcome, but nobody owns it. So please do have the discussions and try to be very reflective that being able to make decisions over data that you're managing is the key core fact that enables to have that ownership. And most of that, of course, decisions can only be made in the business end.
Can I ask questions?
Oh, absolutely.
This is super recognizable. We see this a lot of times, but what do you do if like nobody wants to take ownership? Because that's usually, it's not fighting like 3 people want to take ownership, no, it's the opposite. Nobody wants to touch it.
Yes. No, nobody wants to touch it, I agree.
We probably would discuss it the rest of the evening.
So, I can tell you.
On the semantics, because that term responsible,
Yes.
in Germany, there's only one word for that, verantwortlich. In English, there are 2 words, responsible and accountable, which mean completely different things. But I love to be responsible, but I hate being accountable. When in the term of ownership, and my recommendation would be when you talk to English-speaking companies, use the term accountable.
Yes.
Because if something goes wrong with that, they're accountable, they're going to be fired by it. If I'm only responsible, somebody else will pay for it. And you have to have the semantics discussions. You have to have it. I agree, not in the big meetings, but if you don't do them up front, don't have these meetings.
Absolutely. And what you see here is actually the ASF giving ground, because they couldn't put accountability in the just
And
they
lost. And then you have the little picture with the rental car versus own car. Typically, I'm more cautious with rental cars because it's much more expensive to repair them. So it's a completely different mental in the picture, I guess. But that is the whole thing. Coming from a big company, not being accountable means nobody's responsible, because nobody takes accountability for it. Small companies is easier, but big companies, if you don't get that thing accountable, you can't move forward, because you will not, in the end, the product will not be owned by anyone. Very difficult thing.
It's a difficult discussion, and in that particular, I can just tell you the answer currently the ASF is giving, which is, of course, they have the responsibility on someone that knows and can make decisions, like all of this they can give, but the accountable is a higher up that is taking all the risk, and they are willingly taking the risk. That is a risk that comes with data privacy concerns, bad data management, and of course that accountability is there. So if something doesn't work, higher ups have agreed on taking the accountability related to those things. So it worked, but yes, it was written in like, yeah, they accepted the risk even though they are not managing the. But that's just what the ASF is. Okay. In the question that was given, sorry, I am now flailing around. We see that here, data is an input or output of a business process. So how to make the ownership, even if they don't want it? Well, usually people are very straightforward on, oh, I am the responsible of sales. Oh, really? Then here's your sales lead. And that's how we are designating ownership. So very much derived of the activity they do. And of course, then we have these higher ups that are accepting the accountability, telling them, oh, you have sales, here's sales data. So that's a little bit how we're doing it, based on whatever it is, if it's business capability, that how you're organized, if you have a data, like a product. So you have a particular digital product that has all of it. That is the thing you own. Oh, you also own the data. You own the data of your business capability, or you own the data of your business process. But it's very much related to the activity they do.
Yeah, I have a question like why we have a discussion of why no one is taking ownership. Because now we have a data roles which is specified for this job. We have data scientists, we have data engineers, we have data analysts, and all new jobs which are not there, I think 15 years ago. So this ownership comes with that position, but it is a job which they have to do.
So it's not a job, and that is the issue. Data ownership is additional responsibilities related to the job description you already performed. So we were saying sales, you're the owner of sales. This person that is responsible for sales is responsible for the sales targets, for doing the sales strategy, for doing a lot of things that are heavy and difficult. But we're saying, hey, you are also responsible for the data, and being a data owner is actually not a full-time position, but it has very clear trickle-down consequences if they do not take that responsibility. So that's why we don't have them, because it's not a position, it's just a role. But yeah, to that question, that is the answer. So why we need owners? I think everybody here has clear idea of why, but mainly is because that they can take care that we can trust the data. Like the data outcome is the one that I trust, is the thing that I actually relate to, is coordinated and standardized based to my business needs. So yeah, without them, those things wouldn't make sense. In here is actually a layout that tries to put the quality as a fair way of trying to put ownership behind, where again, we have like the smallest data and then the most IT local systems. And based on that, what they're doing, you can start to assign ownership based on the type of quality and data that you have. But we can talk about the responsibilities of managing the data lifecycle or enabling it. So usually platforms are just enabling people to do their work, but they're not responsible for that. And that's an interesting layout on how they work together and why ownership is also important to be given, not just to data, but to the platforms, to the process, to the products, and across the border, because there are ownership all the way, not just for data. And that's also something we need to put there. Then the standards is how those principles are involved, and is just so that we can ensure that they are maintained. For us, it's just fair, right? Compliant, that they own it and that they provide business value. This is not a rule. This is just how it was simplified in the ISR. But in general terms, it's fair that you comply with all regulations and whatever business deal you did and you have a contract, okay? You also need to trust its quality and have a clear responsible. And most important, it needs to provide business value. So when I was talking before that they set up standards that improve their product, it implies that these standards go beyond what governance does. So in here is actually usually governance pushing back, because governance will tell you, I cannot tell you what are the standards of your data. From central, you can only get minimum standards, how to be shared, how to be named. Try to have a proper standard, but you wouldn't have like proper quality things that provide additional value to your data. So is it unique? Okay, the unique, whatever user ID that you have. Is it valid? The postal code that you are using is actually on the area that I am interested in. Is it timely? Oh, for the business purpose, I need this to be updated every 5 minutes. That is something that governments cannot tell. So usually these standards are something that governance will ask you, but not answer for you. And in there, usually there is a struggle because they have a lot of things to do. And usually the standards are not defined. And then as governance, if we lose too much time in here, you either lose the owner or they will not take ownership anymore. It's like, I don't want to do that. And you can lose them. So it's a difficult balance in there, but that's what would make a great owner. And this is a little bit what happens there. So, you need permanent, but you want to keep working as you have always worked, right? So that happens there. And here, finally, roles, who plays a part. So this is typical drawing of a product. You have a product owner, you have business users, you have data product owners, delivery leads, who interacts with whom. But in terms of governance, a key role that I haven't spoken yet is the stewardship. And that's a little bit the soft skills usually needed in very complex organizations, because nobody will be able to know all the owners. Nobody will be able to know what type of data requirements are going to be needed. And then they are just enabling from central to the owners to talk to each other. Just be able to put clear data requirements and understand what are the business values that are behind, because usually it's a very complex network. And as such, they can help a lot in the enablement. Some companies don't use them. Again, it's very related to complexity. But if you want to reduce a little bit the workload of owners, because they set standards, and perhaps there are not that many, having stewards can help. Of course, the role definition makes it difficult because they are a full-time position, and then they struggle because they are not responsible for the data, nor accountable. They are just there to do the collection, and that makes it fuzzy, and it's difficult. So who needs to play a part? It depends a little bit on which is your business model. Are you by product? Are you by capabilities? Are you by business processes? Every company works differently. So depending on how you are, you can define it. From governance perspective, we can get lost in this discussion as well, as same with semantics. So try to just look into whatever roles provide connection. And that helps to simplify the area, because otherwise it's too many people. And that makes it too difficult, okay? So I think I am overextended, and I just want to perhaps highlight that when you have multiple different strategies, like here, the thing that you need to be able to focus is that data products are what enable you to answer questions across the organization. So if you want to share your data to another digital product, to another capability, to another business process. If it's internal, you may not need it. But for every exchange, that's where actually data products answer a question. So for data owners, you just need to understand by the initiative that you're having, who is your customer in terms of who is using your data. And regardless of the strategy that your company is having, right? Which are those transversal systems that enable you to provide that data? And for governance, understand how those strategies are connected, which are the connecting roles, and help to simplify the organization. Because if we just go forward with all of them at the same time, it doesn't work. And then to close off, these are the practical tips. So for buy-in, know what is the added value that you're having for the organization. This is very much known. Concepts, that the products need to be supported by a concept that is understood by everybody. So if you have a product for loyalty program, okay, you need to be able to fully understand what is the loyalty programs. And use a clear and transparent language. That's difficult. Usually a lot of people struggle with it. Ownership, have a clear handover process. This is something that kills organizations, because person resigned and nobody pick up the slack. So at least in the ASF and Colombian government, we have a lot of what I call orphan data. They had parents before, but not anymore, right? Look for continuous improvement of your product. That should be part of ownership always. And take advantage of the tools that are already available. Like, the owners should look at the platform, at governance, at catalogs, as things available to them, but not as things that demand things from them. A standard, go beyond the minimum, and not just set the standards, leave them. So if you say that you need data with these particular traits, ensure that you enforce them. Lastly, roles. Know who greenlights whatever solution you're doing, who is your user, who is your provider, and who is your workforce. If you are able to know that as a data product owner, that can help your process and mind. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, I think we can.
Where, in your company, where's data governance organized? Or let's start with an easier question. You do have a CIO.
Yes, please.
Is the CIO on the same level as is he directly reporting to the group CEO? Or is there another function in between?
I would say it's at the vice president level.
Okay. So he's second level below. Because what, for my past, IT belongs to finance for whatever reason, historical reasons, and the CFO is either with the CAO, but they have a bit different interests than the CIO. Do we have a CDO?
CE?
A chief digital officer who is then responsible not for the IT architect infrastructure, but for example, the data?
So
If
we have like data and IT with the vice president. Then within it, we have data delivery. So person that is
within that organization.
like still on the central global area, we have so vice president for IT and systems, right? Under him, we have data delivery, which means all the persons that are in the platform and all the support process there.
Is governance part of that
Nope.
organization?
We have another one that is data governance and everything related to enabling in that way. But we are not involved in delivery.
But you are part of the CIO?
Yes.
So you're part of IT?
Yes.
That's how bluntly business will look at you. So what I'm understanding is that your data governance team is something which I learned to very much despise, to be very blunt, right? Okay. Which I learned very much despise in engineering because you're sounding like the people who own processes, who own standards, and tell me what I need to do, but I'm not responsible for anything. I just give you hints, just give you advice. So what's the actual value you're adding? Because you hand off all responsibility to the data owners, to the product owners, to IT. And that one picture where you have the IT architect on one side and the data tables on the other side, actually that's a circle, right? So I think it's very hard to take you serious. I'm very abrasive here now, because from the business perspective, saying, okay, you're just one the person with the good ideas and how you should do stuff. When it becomes serious, well, it's your problem, your data owner. Doesn't that create lots of conflict and just make your life much more difficult?
I would tell you that we do set them, but for data that we have in terms of, for example, the catalog itself, how all IT information is there, we are also the owners of that data, but we cannot own sales data. So we set up a little bit the description of how data can be managed, managing our own as well, but also with the responsibility of helping the other business colleagues be aware of that
But you
responsibility.
have the authority to tell them you have to do it this way, right?
No, we have no authority. And definitely something that I find as a challenge in comparison to my role as a public servant is that I have no enforcement power at all. I can only convince based on good practice, and that is a very slow process. So makes it very difficult. But yeah, I have no enforcement whatsoever.
Tough job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, your first point is very relevant. You talked about creating buy-in. I used to think that data governance was all about policing, but then I had a big talk with like one of the founders of Calibra, and he said, "No, I'm not the police. I am the enablement person. I'm here to make sure you do more with data." And so to create buy-in, he did big roadshows around the company, how data can help you be successful. And there will be part of the organization who hate you and look down on you, exactly what you say. But there will be other parts like, oh, I really need this, and they start consuming your data. Like even if it's just a nucleus of 2 tables, right? But then like you can create a snowball effect. And then if one department likes it, another department will follow. But this takes years. And indeed, as you say, like it won't be that you come in and everyone's like, oh, thank you, you're saving me. No, someone will hate you. But others will love you, and that buy-in, exactly as you said, it comes step by step. But indeed, like don't come in with the idea that you're the police, right? Because
That doesn't help to
sorry, go ahead.
effect, absolutely. Also, on current experiences, because I can say that you cannot implement nor mesh, not everything at the entire organization at the same time. It's a rollout process. And as a rollout process, you also need to prioritize and to know who are the people that actually have some money and that are slightly interested on performing better. So they are most likely already willing to take some ownership. So you can provide support. Also from like the data governance side, for example, you can enable some stewards in the meantime while the owner takes like full responsibility and learns the process. But those need to be temporary allocations because the handling, for example, of sales cannot be in IT. It would be crazy, right? So it's a rollout process and it's difficult. It does help to have quick wins or at least some success stories because then some other people on the organization also start to take in that particular value. But there's already like a lot of data that the organization creates and never uses. And just by looking at that, it's just, let's say, a history of people just not taking care of the data they produce. So that's also a look at that can be done. How much storage area are we using? How much data we produce that nobody cares about? Like, and as we go forward, more regulation come into place, more things and concerns in terms of PII data. Let's say that there's more and more interest on being able to handle properly data so that we do not have those, like that big orphan data everywhere, right? But yeah, that's how you do it.
May I ask you how big is that data governance team?
How big?
Yeah.
It's not big. The data governance team, including compliance, catalog, governance, enterprise architecture, we are around 20 people the most. Normally we're like 16.
Including data stores.
No, because we want the stewards to be on the business.
But including enterprise architecture. How big is your company?
It's too big.
Okay.
Yeah, but at least I'm only in the operational division of agricultural solutions. So like, okay, BASF is 120,000 employees. Agricultural solutions, we are 26,000, 30,000. But that's it.
Because in particular, the thing about orphan data and so on, that typically need to be addressed by the enterprise architecture. Because you can't have sort of like business owners of the system. They never own the system, they own the data in the system. IT owns the system. And that matrix makes sure that you don't lose data or something become orphaned if you do it properly. So it makes sense that the immunity of the enterprise architects, but so it's challenging.
Challenging. But delivery team, which is usually the actual developers and the people that put in the systems and platform, I would guess that the delivery team is between 50 and 60 people. So hopefully they continue to enable things to work. Yeah. So I think we can give room for the next speaker.
Carolina. So don't become the data police.
No, don't.
Let's have a break for 15 minutes. Yeah. To Mirella is AI and data science manager at AstraZeneca. She also worked in the pharma industry for Bayer in the past and also in consulting. And she studied in Groningen. Yeah? And do you speak some Dutch?
No. I love other Germans too.
And she will teach us today something about the productive paradox and reveal where you're getting out of data products. So yeah, also happy to welcome you, Mirella, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. So I will take this.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for all to be here. Welcome also from my end. I'm really excited to be here and also bring my perspective on data product and data product management. And I also want to focus on the productivity paradox. I want that everyone leaves this room and understand why it's important to understand that it's there and how to overcome it. Also, like I find it super interesting what you focus in your talk about, and I'm one level up. So I'm less technical, even less technical than you. I come from a business perspective because I think in future, if you want to make data product successful, the whole business needs to understand what the value is. And before I get started, I also want to ask you. So I wanted to have like a small poll, but now I ask you that way. So what word comes to your mind when you think about data product? You can just jump in.
I'm thinking generally about product. Product is something that I can consume. The data product, data I can consume. That is the first comes to my mind. I will be a little bit data product.
I'm thinking about Google Analytics, AD Analytics service, where you can analyze the performance of your AD campaigns.
Nice.
So I think things that are packaged, so are things that are provided as a package, not as a service.
The value it brings.
That's a good one. Any other guess? Or like opinion on data product?
It's cost. I mean, products usually has a cost.
Yes. So I also did my research. I Googled and I used ChatGPT, my best friend. And I found one definition that really resonated with me. So broadly speaking, data products comprise everything that generates added value from raw data. So it's really this value that comes out of it, and using data, producing value. Also, I didn't know how technical my audience is, so I wanted to bring like an example to really think about, okay, what does this really mean? Because you talked about data products, but I think everyone has a bit an own idea of what a data product is. So my example is Amazon. So when I go on Amazon on the website, I immediately get a lot of recommendations. So I open the page, I get recommendation. I click on a product, I see what other products are frequently bought together. So this is their data product, and I mean that's their recommender engine. It provides your past purchase history, combines it with algorithms, and then make prediction what you might buy next. And the result is like super engaged customers and skyrocketing sales. And in fact, like the recommender engine from Amazon drives around 35% of their whole sales. So they really see that this product that they have created is a huge value add to the company. And similarly, other companies are following that approach, or like, I don't know who started with this actually, but now you see recommender engines everywhere. So Netflix has it, Spotify, even when you go on LinkedIn, social media, they're everywhere basically. Because the companies recognize it's like this is real value to us. And this is also the point. So when data products are implemented correctly, they become economic engines. And also I want to focus on that part, so what this means. So with the example, we have data, we feed it in something, we generate a data product, means value add. In return, this data product might generate more data, and this is probably what happens. And then this data goes back into the existing data product, makes this bigger, but maybe this is also the starting point for new data product. And then this goes on and on. So this is a whole like circle, and also this circle is like the starting point of our information revolution that we are in the middle of. So this sounds great, right? So it goes on and on, more value, everyone is happy. But yeah, and then your point, we even have AI. So developing such products should be easier than ever before, like generating this value and also automating things. So super, super great. However, maybe it's not that easy. So, and this is what has shown us history, that maybe new technology do not always lead to immediate positive results. And this is the part of the productivity paradox that I wanted to focus on. So the productivity paradox is like a historical pattern that we have observed over and over again. And it says that the introduction of a new technology may also lead to like stagnating productivity, or the productivity even shrinks for a while. Only then after a while it becomes crazy and goes up. And one example that I have here is like factories in the 19th century, so American factories. This was the time when electricity got introduced to those factories. And what was observed, it didn't have any impact on like the productivity in those factories. So what did they change? So after a while, the engineer thought, okay, maybe we can have the processes better. Maybe we can change something. And then they started to think about, okay, how can we change it? How can we really leverage the new technology? And that was the point when they changed the layout of the factories that really the benefit became clear and like the productivity also went up. This pattern of productivity paradox was observed in any industrial revolution. So when the steam engine got introduced, and even when the internet was born. And the fact, I already pointed that out, why it takes so long, is that technology alone doesn't change anything. The work has to be rethought to have an impact. And this is also where we are today in our digital age, because the businesses that win in the digital age are not necessarily those who have implemented the processes the best, or like the systems the best, but those that take a digital first mindset and that really think about new business models. How can I use this technology? What is my customer needs? So this is super, super important, and also for all the existing companies. So we talked about this. I think nowadays a lot of startups are coming in with their technologies, and they gain crazy market shares in short time. But existing companies really have to think, like they need a mindset shift to have an impact and have a change. I want to talk about this mindset, the mindset shift that can take companies from data chaos, which is present in a lot of companies, to value creation. And for that, I've brought one framework. So we all come with experience. So every company has experience, every employee has experience with their data, with their tools, with their systems, with their processes, but experience alone doesn't drive transformation. Above experience lies the mindset. So does the company have a fixed mindset or growth mindset? So fixed mindset, I'm resistant to change anything, everything is good as it is, it worked the past 20 years, so it has to work now. Or is the company open to grow, to experiment, try out new things, is open to failure, because that's a big part, it's important to fail. If you try out new things, you will fail, it's normal. But this is really where where it's an opener to the next phase. And where you can take bold and data-driven actions. So if you have a growth mindset, you come into the action phase. You try out the things, you fail maybe, but you continue. And by combining like experience with data-driven actions through a growth mindset, that's where we end up in results. So here you can really see, okay, things are picking off, I can have a change. Maybe it takes some time, some iterations in between, but you really have to get into the stage. If you stay here, nothing will change. Also, this whole mindset topic is then the base for data product thinking. And for me, data product thinking is the combination of the business goals with data for added value. And it has three pillars for me that have to be combined. So the number one is like the business strategy. So what's the goal of my company? what are my priorities? What are my KPIs? What do I want to measure? This is the foundation, and I hope all your companies have a business strategy, because this is super important. I mean, that's the basis. But then to become a product-oriented company or data-driven company, the two other parts are important. So one is the design thinking part. Here you put like your user in the center. You think, okay, what are my users' needs? And you are creative. You're fast, creative, and you try things, and you prototype things in a very quick manner. Lastly, data science. So that's the last bit to really have data products and data product thinking, because it's like the analytical horsepower. You use data combined with models, algorithms, and then can also solve problems with insights that you generate. And only when those three parts are there, you have data product thinking, from my experience. So this is my definition of it. And I would be curious, so from your companies that you work for, do you have like all three pillars in place?
Something which is, I'm thinking about something. So if it's in data world, actually you can have data products without necessarily analytics. Okay, then data transformers, data loaders, and stuff like that. They are also usually data products without data science. I'm not sure if data science is the term, or in general, business strategy, design thinking, and data without the science, maybe, I don't know. Not necessarily every time you want a model or algorithm. Am I right? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I get that point. I think, so my vision of a data product is broader than like what you presented earlier, with like a small piece in the database that's already defined as a data product. But for me to generate something that has a value add. And I came from the perspective of like data science and something we deliver insights with. But also you can combine data in another way, and you have like also a product. But someone needs to work on that data. So I mean, it could also be like a business analyst or data analyst that is working it. So maybe data science is already the next phase of
Yeah. Sorry for hijacking. What was the question again?
No, I asked for those three pillars, and if you think that your company has them present, or maybe also some variation of this, of those pillars.
I wish my company had.
I think we all wish, this is a very good definition, by the way, I like it a lot. I think we all wish we would be there. For me, what I notice the most that's lacking is the design thinking part. Like most clients we work with have a business strategy, and we have enough data science, data engineering, brain power to solve their needs, but it's all very rational.
Yeah.
But then the design thinking part, I'm curious, is it based on your experience at AstraZeneca, or is it, and what do you do to bring in that, like, is it a separate role, is it a separate type of people that you need to hire? What does that look like?
I think for me the important part is this user needs aspect, to really think about who are my users and what do they need, and then start to build a product based on this. And design thinking, I think in design thinking overall it goes more on, like it's about the prototyping and have a quick iteration and have fast changes. But for me, it's this part, the user needs, that has to be there. And sometimes it's also lacking from business strategy. You have maybe sales goals, or you have other goals. In data science, you want to deliver your models, but who's thinking about the users? Who makes a decision that this is like the right product that we want to focus for our user?
Just to add one thing, like in some of the industry, these three pillars works if it's IT, because it's a simple question, like design thinking not needed in the products piece. Like data, for example, if the company is SaaS, software as a service, they need a design thinking. But the company is producing some chips, they don't need design thinking. They have a design thinking of different level, not in the IT sector. So these pillars are like in the design thinking. I think those companies who are doing digitalization transformation, is quite important for them because they want to do A/B testing, they want to do many other things, proof of concept, use cases and all. Then this things comes, then the data can be driven by that. But if the companies like product based or some other things which they are not too deep in the IT sector, only the website, only the mobile apps, then for them, I think design thinking will be at a different level. Like for fashion industry, they have a website, they have apps, but they will not going in design thinking, okay, how the dress will be there, there will be color, there will be color. They have a designer of fashion, not in the IT sector, maybe one or two. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Perhaps I can jump in.
I would say that design thinking is not designed only for customer. When you talk about user, you're talking also about like the interior, like within a company. If you're the user of data of controlling is going to be marketing, then those are their customers and they need to think of those user needs. So just perhaps extend a little bit the scope of what design thinking can be used for.
But I this thing like these models are working in two types, like internal, what you are using in the company, and external. So when we have an internal thing, we have a design thinking talking to the business. But when we have the external one, then we have to see like who other customers are coming. For example, we have metrics like car, active users, how many active users we have. So these terms of design thinking, it differs in different scenarios. Like if you are talking in the business scenarios, like internally, they will be talking different type, like it is working in sales or something. But if some company is working as Amazon, for example, they will be talking about car. They will be talking about revenue in the country. They will be talking about this thing. If the user is clicking this thing, how many clicks you are getting it? Because we have a matrix of a website. For example, when we open a website, you get everything, like how many users have come, how many clicks they have. Then this design thinking works differently because they change color, they change perspective in that way. But internally, it's quite different. I agree with that.
And also from external perspective, I think it really depends like what product you create, like that you even get to that stage, that you have a product where you can do an A/B test. And like that's the way to it, to this data product from a broader perspective. Yeah, I will move to the next slide. But yeah, also thanks for that, your comments, like really appreciate it. And I'm super interested to learn from you and yeah, also hear your thoughts. Then I go on the level of a single data product and again on a broader level. So what is really needed to have or to be able to create this data product? So on the one hand, you need an organization that supports it and the roles. So also what you mentioned, I mean, you have a team that focuses on the data governance stuff, you have an IT team, but it really has to be thought as a big organization and like also the roles need to be there that you're able to build that data model. So you need a whole set of different roles and I will talk about it shortly. And the important part is that you have like senior level buy-in, like from the executives, they need to understand. And this is like a big thing in like existing big corporates that like are not so data driven at this point because they need this mindset shift. And this has to come from the top level. Then the second point is like the data competency and data literacy. Another thing, like in the company of the future, every single employee needs to have data competency and literacy. And this is also when it comes to like data governance and your databases, it's the same thing. You need to understand what's in your company, what data you have, and also what data is created. I mean, I know it from pharma and sales rep, they need to document like the interactions they have with HCPs when they are in the field. Right now, it's not documented so in a nice way because like they don't really care. But we need this insight, so like information for us is our valuable data points. If the data is not trustworthy, we can't make anything out of it. And there, like every single employee needs to think about it if they put in a data point in SAP or wherever they do it. Then the third pillar, like data governance and protection, so we heard a lot about this in Carolina's talk. And then the data infrastructure. So it's about data availability, but then also accessibility. So data is somewhere, but can I really access it in the right way that I can make a data product? That's the big question. And then of course, like when we look into single data products, a huge success factor is like the actual product team. So we know this guy, like the product owner, I'm also a product owner, but a product owner can't deliver the complete data product. So he or she is super important to align with business, align with stakeholder, do we meet the business needs, the stakeholder needs. But to really deliver the end-to-end product, you need a whole set of different roles. And like, I'm impressed, I talked to so many of you, and I think we almost have this complete, this picture. So we can also start to think about our own product. But yeah, you have like the architect that thinks about the data flows. You have like data engineers that create the pipelines. Then you need maybe data scientists and ops engineers that really deliver models and generate these insights and put them to production. And then you also have like maybe some UI engineers, UX engineers that think about, okay, what does my end user need? How does this product need to look like that it's usable? So many, many people, and also what you see here, they sit all on a table. So they can't work in silos. And this is another thing that I observe many times, that we think, oh yeah, let's have offshore colleagues for all the things we don't want to do in Germany. They do the stuff and we do our stuff. No, it doesn't work like that. Even like the end user needs to basically sit on this table, and every single person here needs to understand, okay, what is our goal? What product do we need to deliver? And why? So the why is super important. And I see this oftentimes in many different industry and companies that like data architect build like the architecture, but he doesn't know for what. Yeah, but it's there, like job done. So, and this is like where the real mindset shift has to happen from an organizational perspective, and also the team itself. Because technology alone doesn't deliver the product. It really are all those roles working in a very effective way.
As an AI manager, have you had this experience to work with a product owner actually doesn't come from data world? So a product owner who doesn't speak data. Have you ever had this experience? Because I think that in the future, product owner should be a data specialist.
Yes.
What?
It should be like the interface between business and data. They need to understand both languages.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
And like for some, or like one big product with AstraZeneca, I have the role of product owner, and it's a lot of responsibility because I sit in the dailies with the like the developers, like make sure like they understand like what the business needs. I translate it into the technical language, what we need to deliver, make the sprint plans, and then check in with the team. At the same time, I'm the one talking to the business and feeding back like all the insights we generate, and also need to translate back into business language where we are, what we're doing. So it's super important to like have someone, or at least like in the best case, more people that understand both languages. Yeah. And lastly, so my mantra: to be successful, fail fast and succeed faster. So it's important to fail, and like this will always happen. Like it's not that we start something and it will be great. Maybe it happens, but also what I observe oftentimes, you start a big initiative, a big project, and then there's like expectations from management that this is flying, and you continue working on it, you realize, oh no, maybe this doesn't make any sense. But then you're already so far in the project, you keep on going. You say, oh yeah, okay, we have to deliver it, and then you don't stop. And it's good to fail fast, like realize early when something is not working out, and then you're able to try more things and then succeed faster with a really good solution. And this is already my last slide, where I want to like summarize my points. And this presentation is really for maybe more established companies that are new to like data and data product management. And like the takeaway is like in order to be successful in this digital world, you need to understand and recognize the productivity paradox, like embrace data product thinking as mindset shift, and lastly, build like this sustainable data culture as a foundation, because without it, it's not possible.
This data culture is actually very important.
It is.
That,
the
that
base.
makes failure. That makes big failure. If they don't have it, they fail.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely. And I mean, also now, I think like Forbes published a study, like 90% or more than 90% of big companies think digital transformation is important, but at the same time, like 70% of the transformation projects, they fail. And this is not because of technology, it's because there's no data culture and like really the willingness to change something. And it's painful. It's really painful because you need to dig deep, you need to clean up, and you have to think about how this works in the future.
We get the exact same statistics in data science because 2019 or something that they published these statistics like 80% of models which are developed, they never go to production.
Yes.
So like this circle is somehow ruined.
Yeah.
So they don't end up in production. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Are there any questions?
I might have an add-on. There's this famous saying from, I think, the former CEO Telefonica said actually, if you digitize a shitty process, you simply have a shitty digitized process. That's it. That probably summarizes it.
Yes. And it's still like garbage in, garbage out. Also like for all data science model, AI, like we all say it's there, we all can use it, but is the data there? Like is our data ready for it? I'm not sure in many cases.
Maybe adding a little bit to the discussion we had on the design thinking. I listened to a presentation from an Amazon guy who was working in AWS and said part of the culture at Amazon is when you have these big decision meetings. So he was senior, not quite executive level, but quite senior level. He said when we have these meetings, there's typically an empty chair in the room. It's quite well known. That chair is the user, and they don't talk about internal users at all. For them, it's the external customer. So in every decision meeting where investments, products, etc. are planned, it's always asked, will our external customer see an improvement? If no, it's low priority. And regardless what internal hassles and fights they have in order to improve things internally, what all companies are having, they will always have a discussion. Is it going to impact my external customer, the person who's going to pay for your job? If no, we don't do it. If maybe, we try, fail, move on. Or yes. And that, I think, is because that makes a lot of these type of design thinking and different, and it's not my data, but it makes it obsolete. Because in the discussion in the company is always like, is it value for my customer who's going to pay for your jobs? Yes or no? And if you can't answer that, go out, research, get the data, make a call. And that is going to kill so many discussions in big companies. So few people actually talk about it, but they don't do it. And it's hard. That's a real culture change.
I love that because in our old company, like we banned the internal customer. Like this word was banned. When we talked about the customer, it was the external customer. Because like, of course, if you work in IT, like you have so many customers and stakeholders to serve, but like it's the customer out there. That should be the center.
Question. How you measure success of data products and life cycle in your organization?
I think it depends on like the data product, like and the product that you deliver. So, but again, like as always, there are multiple success factors. So it could be like more qualitative factors, like are we gaining efficiency? Are we gaining speed? Or like sales impact on the other side, like really hard facts and impact on, like, if you work on something on your marketing, on sales processes, do I reach more customers? How is like my KPIs doing on like a single channel? So for example, I work a lot on marketing side of things and how to support like the sales reps in the field with AI. And of course, like if we introduce something, we want to see that the KPIs for the sales rep is going up. Like that, for example, we also have different channels how to interact with doctors. If like there are more face-to-face meeting happening, if there are more slides presented about certain topics, are more emails sent to a customer, are those really clicked, like those kind of KPIs. And when a data product is in the back of it, then this is like the KPIs we measure the data product with. That makes sense.
The answer maybe is much easier because you don't even start developing a data product if you don't have a clear sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And the purpose is to start with, I need a data product to deliver that value.
Yes.
And the measure in the end is, does it deliver the value, yes or no?
Well, maybe I can add to that as well, because the goals have to be smart.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're smart, you can easily, quote unquote, derive the value of the data product.
Yeah.
Does it really pay into your goals? Does it improve the situation?
Yeah. Companies are really bad in it to define smart goals. And then really stick to them. And then maybe think about new KPIs along the way that maybe seem better. But yeah, that's
actually less a joke, but a very serious discussion, because we had a philosophical discussion with some Fraunhofer institutes on would it be better having data deciding everything, because it's logical, it's an algorithm behind, etc. We don't talk about AI bias yet, another discussion. And it becomes absolutely clear that successful companies, even data-driven companies like the ones you put up an example, wouldn't be successful without the personalities, characters, and the faulty humans which ultimately make the decisions. And that's still not fully understood because they're data-driven. So they take all the data, but the decision is sometimes more convoluted than the data might suggest. And hence, sort of like, hence we need, I think as a data people, we need to live with the type of ambiguity people will bring from the executive level where they make a decision like I said, but the data show a different direction. Why do they make the decision? You need to live up that there might be parts of data in the brains of these people which are not measurable and not digitized yet.
yes.
Right? But this is sort of sometimes very hard to understand, particularly when you're a data person, when you're sort of going in AI and you see something that's like, but data shows different. Why do you make that decision? It's just because of the force. But there, of course, there's typically more experience and gut feel in there. Gut feel sometimes it's been described as a shortcut of experience to memory. And so hence we can't answer all the questions of data.
Yeah. And I think also like the bosses of the future, they will make this decision in a different way. And
Will they make decisions or just ask the AI?
yeah. But also like really this data-driven decision making. I think like now all these people that come from university that really have a data degree are coming in, and this changes a lot. Just a way, like a long way that we still have to go.
Yeah, they're coming in very naive, I have to say, because they don't understand how businesses are run.
Yeah.
And you can see it in a lot of the startups. From our videos, you survive 10 years, so they're probably successful. but they go in with this naivety, simply saying, but this is logical. The algorithm shows them out, it has to be successful because of all the data, and they still fail and don't understand it. And as soon as they start working with humans, ultimately all our products are for human consumption. Data ends. It's serving a certain purpose, and if you're clear about it, it's not going to respond to all questions. Except the answer is 42, but
yeah, always happens. Like now, like when they come fresh out of the university, they are usually this naive, right? So this is right, this is wrong. No, it's about which makes money, it doesn't. That's not. Yeah, and what she's talking about is in the future, like with more population probably, data experts. Yeah, I think there will be some change. The way that bosses make decisions.
Yes, and no. Because this is the same, I've been through that cycle a couple of times, but the point is
in the future.
Because in the end, in the future, you believe that you can model everything. Because that's data driven, right? You have a model of your business, which is then giving you the answer, a model is always an abstraction. It leaves out detail. You know, when you're an engineer, when you go into physics, etc., you will always know when you digitize, you lose analog detail, regardless of whether 30 gigs, 60 gigs, whatever. And that's just physical reality. So a model is always an abstraction of reality, and hence you will always have a certain grain of uncertainty in there. And everybody who's still going to believe algorithms are going to rule the world, yes, to a certain extent. As soon as we lose the human element, it's going to destroy everything, because you don't ask, you don't reflect back. It's the same as decision, really a good decision. And we're just looking at the ChatGPT thing, right? Everybody's worrying about hallucinations. When you look at the latest models, the answers are very, very good meanwhile. And people don't take them, they just take them for granted, because 9 out of 10 are good. Detect the 10th, the wrong one. You need a lot of expertise to do that. And that's a problem with data products, digitized organizations, data-mined organization, because it's a true, or a false truthness in there if you don't have your data flow completely under control and you can trust your data. There's a lot of research going on in trustful, not only AI, but data, because business are going to be trusting the data, because people are learning universities right now, data censorship free. That's one of the things we get from the universities. Very, very difficult, very dangerous.
I agree to your point. So I think the human aspect is always needed.
The intuition thing.
Yeah.
And that's one thing which is not probably researched. Article of behavior analysts which are getting very public right now, because the AI behave to a certain extent like that. But human behavior and computer behavior are two things that need to complement each other at some point.
Thank you for the discussion.
Thank you very much, Miller. Yeah, fail fast, success faster, I would add, and more often. Yeah, thank you everyone. So you can scan the QR code here if you want to follow up us on the Dataminded Germany webpage. So we like posting all the stuff, upcoming webinars, meetups, the plan maybe Germany tourney. We were in Berlin now today, in Düsseldorf, maybe one day in Hamburg, Frankfurt, Munich. We don't know yet. We'll find out. So have a look there. Thank you a lot for your contribution to the talks, and especially both speakers. Yeah, so we provided a small gift from you. It comes from heart, from groups and Dataminded report.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope the person takes time.
It's very high, I can assure you.
So this is
Compliance really can.
very, very special kind of record.
Okay, I give a talk next time.
Yeah, thank you everyone. It's not usual that you come on a Wednesday evening, this rush hour, to a meetup and spend your last hours of the day here at a meetup. So highly appreciate it. Thank you very much. And yeah, let's have a nice time.
Welcome.